Is Alibaba dead? Probably not, but there's a lot of other options for sourcing products across the world. If you're making a product, you want to compare options, you want to compare prices. Just a little background on myself. My name's Dakota. I launched a $10 million brand on Amazon and Shopify. It grew in just over a year. I sourced predominantly on Alibaba when I first started, but now I'm sourcing in a whole bunch of other places that I want to share with you guys. Sourcing is important now more than ever, especially with US trade restrictions that are going on with China. Tariffs and duties, those are taxes and fees that can go on to your final cost of your product, have risen. Some products that I import just have a duty of about 2%. Some go as high as 28, 32% just on the cost of goods that are imported. Ocean freight can be very expensive. So if you can manufacture in the US, Vietnam, Thailand, Pakistan, or other countries, it's very important to consider these options. But where are the best places to look at these options? Not necessarily Alibaba, again, which is predominantly focused on China. China is where the world's manufacturing happens. They say it's the world's factory. I'm going to help you guys explore some other options based in China, and then a bunch of options in other Asian countries, emerging markets like India, which are rapidly growing. And then we're going to be looking at the US, because if you're making goods in the US, the process of getting those goods from your factory to your warehouse can be fairly inexpensive transport wise, but the cost of actually making those goods will be higher just because labor in the US is higher. There are certain goods though that you can only manufacture in the US and maybe Mexico or Canada, such as supplements, food items. I'll help you guys find out where to make these products and more, and let me get started without further ado. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be manufacturing a yarn product because why not? Number one is going to be Global Sources. Global Sources is an awesome platform. It's one of the oldest platforms besides Alibaba. It's been around for about 50 years. They have so many manufacturers on this platform. We'll just search yarn, and what I really like is they show different tiers of manufacturers. They have verification process so you can make sure the factories are legit. You can communicate directly with suppliers on here. Always check Global Sources if you're making a product. As we can see here, they have options for verified, premier, advanced, and this is just based on the success that the factory has had. You can click on the actual product and you can see and click on their brand. You can see and click on the manufacturer. We get to the manufacturer's page. We see this manufacturer has been around for 15 years. We can see how many factories they have, the sales team, the average response time, and we can get directly in contact with them here. We can also see all the other products they make. Critical to be checking this website. Number two is going to be madeinchina.com. The name's exactly like it sounds. It's predominantly Chinese suppliers, but there's a lot of suppliers on this site that are not on Alibaba or Global Sources. The reason for that is there's a level of exclusivity to this site. So I do like checking it. If we do a search like yarn, we're going to see a bunch of manufacturers here. What I do like on the left, which I think is very intelligent, is they actually show usage, feature, and material. So they get kind of intelligent with the different categories that you might be looking within. So you can see for yarn, knitting, weaving, hand knitting, things like that. A lot of other sites don't offer those types of refinements. We can see prices directly from this screen, and then we can get in contact directly with these manufacturers. It also sorts by top rank, which is kind of cool. This is a sponsored badge, but it also is aligned with showing verified suppliers. Number three is going to be DH Gate, the letter D, the letter H, Gate. I have no idea why it's named that, but if we just do a quick search here for yarn, for example, we're going to see a bunch of factories here. There's going to be a bunch of factories on DHgate that are not on madeinchina.com and are not on Global Sources. The reason for that is, again, exclusivity. These platforms want to have manufacturers that are not on other platforms. What's cool here is you can click on any of these. The site is fairly old looking in some ways. What's cool here is this factory has a bunch of different color options. You can get directly in contact with them to communicate what you're looking for. Very simple, straightforward. It has a review mechanism. Just three important options to be checking if you're going to be making a product, just to get ideas of pricing, quality, standards, and you can get samples in order to understand the product. Number four is HKTDC. And what does that mean? Hong Kong Development Council. So the Hong Kong Development Council essentially wants you to be working with Hong Kong manufacturers. Hong Kong is not technically part of China, depends who you ask. And that being said, you can actually search here for companies and factories based in Hong Kong. So once you're on the Hong Kong Trade Development Council website, you can search for a product like yarn, and it'll show you a bunch of manufacturers that make this product. There's not a ton of yarn manufacturers here. Let's see some other products that we might be interested in looking for. As we can see, there's a bunch of options here from electronics, knickknacks, shoes, and everything in between. This is a great option for looking for manufacturers outside of China, so I highly recommend checking. What I also like about the Hong Kong Trade Development Council website is if you do import a product from this site. They do have a reputation. They do have trade assurance, which means you can be assured if you do a trade and the quality of the product is not to your specifications, they will open a case. They will help you out. It's not just like ordering in a black box that's random. Most of these legit sites do offer this, but it's nice to know that one that's based in Hong Kong is also offering the same service as, say, an Alibaba or another large platform provider. Number 5 is going to be AliExpress. AliExpress is owned by Alibaba, as the name would suggest. What I like about AliExpress is it's directionally helpful to find suppliers. You can do a drop shipping business from AliExpress. It's one of the more common drop shipping sites, but I also like it because it gives you a really interesting idea of what different manufacturers are doing, how they're utilizing products, and the pricing that they're providing direct to consumer. So you, in theory, should be able to beat the pricing that you see on AliExpress. What you're actually paying should be lower than what the supplier is selling direct to consumer. Just hypothetically here, what I like is you can see the number of units ordered, so you can see how legit a factory is. If we click on one of these listings here, we'll see all the various colors that this manufacturer is supplying. You can scroll down, then you can see the actual store. You can visit the store. It also gives you ideas for other products that you might look to sell eventually under your store, which is kind of cool. So if I was going to start a yarn store eventually, I might look to sell all these various products and brand them under my brand. And you can contact the store directly from here, which is cool. Again, directionally very helpful, mostly based in China, but a good source to check nonetheless. Number 6, turning you on to that real, is 1688.com, like the year 1688. I don't have no idea why it's named that. Someone will probably know in the comments. That being said, this site is in Chinese. It is predominantly aimed towards Chinese buyers. This site is technically operated by Alibaba. It's at OG-ish. So we can translate this to English in order to find what we're looking for. You have to use Google Chrome to translate it to English. And then you can scroll down, see they offer a variety of goods, things that are really cool, awesome packaging. These factories are very legit, about as legit as it comes. A lot of companies in China source from this website. Then what we can do here is we can do a search like yarn, just for example, so you can see the search results. It loads up in Chinese because it's that real. And then we scroll down and we're seeing a bunch of interesting products that we might be looking to source. We're seeing some factories that we saw on previous websites here, but who would have known you could have done glow in the dark yarn? So I'm already getting some ideas. Number 7 is going to be an in-person event. It's called the Canton Fair. It's the biggest import and export fair in the entire world. I've been to the Canton Fair. I went about 6 years ago while I was working at Amazon. It's a really cool fair because it's just massive. There's so many manufacturers. There's 3 phases of the fair. April 15th to the 19th is mostly focused on electronics, vehicles, lightings, building materials, chemical products. Phase 2 is April 23rd to the 27th, focused on consumer goods, gifts, and home decoration. Phase 3 is May 1st through the 5th, focused on footwear, office luggage, leisure products, medicine, healthcare, and food. This fair is super cool because it's massive. Imagine 64 to 100 football fields just filled with suppliers and products. You can make connections with the manufacturers. You're always going to get a better price when you can meet a manufacturer in person, shake their hand. You can actually pick up the goods that they're making, and then you can see the new items that these factories are making for 2023. So you get the cutting edge of technology. You don't have to see what they did last year, see what they're going to be doing in the years forward, so you can get ahead of your competition. Make a trip out of it too. You can head over to Hong Kong or do something cool. I might be heading over there this year. I haven't decided yet, but it is a very cool fair. It's a great place to meet with your manufacturers if you're already in business. In this segment of the video, I'm going to be getting into US-based manufacturers and manufacturing companies and portals and platforms that are focused on other markets outside of China. Thomasnet is the #1 platform for US-based manufacturers. You can do a search right here for something like yarn, and then the search results will pop up with factories based in the US. You can see the year that the factory was established, how many employees they have. Most companies are not great about getting in touch with you again once you contact them on Thomasnet, so I'll typically go to their website and contact them directly via email or just give them a phone call. What I like is they also have a verification process for these suppliers, and a lot of these suppliers you can just hit them up because they speak English. They're really easy to talk to. And what I also like to do is once you call them, and if the factory is not a fit, you can say, hey, do you have any recommendations for other factories that might be a fit for my product? And a lot of people are more than willing and interested to help you out in manufacturing your product. Number 9 is IndiaMart. IndiaMart, as the name would suggest, is predominantly for Indian-based suppliers. You can search India for any product that you might think of. India is a rapidly emerging market. A lot of the factories in India are not currently working with US companies, and that's a good thing for you because you can negotiate good pricing. The factories want to diversify their supply chain, so that means not just supply to other companies in India or Europe, which is typically the most common market for Indian factories. They want to supply to the US as well, and you can use that as a negotiation tactic. We'll search for things like yarn, which is a great product to source from India because they're very strong in textiles, and we'll see a bunch of really awesome options here. You can call the suppliers directly, but I would suggest sending a message. They also have a verification process and offer trade protection. So a very legit website. I recommend checking it out. Number 10 is Google. And a lot of people don't think about using Google to find manufacturers, but what you can do here is type in what you're looking for and then type in contract manufacturer. And when you type in yarn contract manufacturer, it's going to spit out a bunch of contract manufacturers for you. You can scroll down here and see about 6 right off the bat. These sometimes are not on the other platforms, so it's important to check Google. I will also sometimes check YouTube because some companies make little profiles about themselves. Do your diligence, call these companies up. Again, ask them if they're not the right fit. Do you guys know anyone that could be a good fit to help me make my product? More often than not, they will make a good suggestion for you. Number 11 is going to be Trade India, which is very similar to IndiaMart, but also has different suppliers than IndiaMart. I've done a lot of research on both, and I typically see different suppliers on both. So I like to check, type in yarn, and we'll see a bunch of interesting suppliers here. What I do like is they do have trusted verification badges. You can contact the companies directly from the platform. You can see their phone numbers. A lot of these companies are very, very legit. India is a rapidly emerging market, so I do recommend checking it out. Number 12 is going to be for people that are looking to make a little bit more complicated products or having trouble finding a factory. You can use a platform called Sourcify, which is really cool. They've worked with some really legit brands like Peloton, Kylie Cosmetic, Tonal, and they have a lot of experience with these top factories. They've developed this network of top factories, and they can get you in contact directly with the factory. They essentially operate as a sourcing agent. They're taking a fee for obviously doing that, but you're getting in touch with the best of the best. So if you're making something that's a little bit more complicated, I highly recommend reaching out to Sourcify, and they can help you out in developing the right direction to get your product to market. Number 13 is going to be TradeKey. A lot of the manufacturers on TradeKey are also based in China, but what I like is they have a diversified network that's not just China, but a lot of China. And you can see companies and manufacturers from countries like Africa, Pakistan, and many in between. Highly recommend checking this one out for more obscure products. So if you're doing something that's a little bit strange, sometimes you can find your strange manufacturer on this site. You can see everything from raisins to fire extinguishers, everything in between. TradeKey is just one of those interesting ones. Again, the more you check, the more you know, the more quotes you get, you'll often find better pricing, and who knows, you might just find your supplier here. Last but not least, number 14 is EC21. I actually found a great manufacturer here recently, not based in China. They do have China suppliers, but they also have Korea, Pakistan, everything in between. So just do a quick search for yarn, and we'll see right here, supplier country on the left. Just Korea alone has 236 manufacturers here for yarn products. Vietnam, India, very cool. You can do more countries right here. Bangladesh, Ukraine, Iran, Hong Kong. Very cool to see a global opportunity here. Again, you don't want to just focus on China if you're looking to import products. Understand prices from other countries. We can scroll down here and see a bunch of options. EC21, very cool. B2B, why not? Let's check it out. Really appreciate you guys watching this video. Hopefully you can look through these 14 options instead of Alibaba to import your product. It's getting a little expensive to import from China with duties and tariffs. They might be going up, they might be going down. Who knows? It's good to diversify your supply chain, look into other options, get quotes from various countries. I always recommend getting samples. If you're a little bit weary of a factory, you can hire what's called an inspector, and the inspector can actually go to the factory to see how it looks, make sure that it's legit. You can Google factory inspector. If you guys appreciated this video, give me a like, give me a follow, check out my other videos about how to scale up your Shopify store, Amazon store. I'm going to be making future videos on the process of negotiating with suppliers, how to import your products directly to Amazon warehouses or to your 3PL, third-party logistics center. So really appreciate you guys giving me your trust to scale up your e-commerce store. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.